I broke up with Evan. Everyone's expecting me to beg him to get back together. The next day, I packed up everything related to Evan and shipped it off without any hesitation. I heard Evan freaked out. The day we split was a rainy night. I didn't have an umbrella, so I called Evan, but he didn't pick up. I got home drenched like a wet dog, only to find a message from Evan saying he'd gone to give his little first love an umbrella. What a joke. Raindrops trickled down my cheeks and splattered onto the floor, just like my shattered heart. I walked into my bedroom and saw a photo of him and his first love, Lily, on the nightstand. Lily's cuddling up to him in the photo, smiling brightly. I laughed at myself and turned the picture face down. Lily's like a little sister who grew up with Evan. Whenever she asks for something, Evan jumps. And me? According to Evan's loser friends, I'm just a whatever stand-in and a lapdog in their eyes. Without bothering to tidy up myself, I quickly packed my stuff and called Evan, but Lily picked up. It's Lisa. Evan's showering 'cause he got caught in the rain. Lily's voice was so sugary it hurt my ears. Good thing Evan was there to rescue me, or I'd be drenched. Hey, Lisa, did you get rained on? Her taunt was crystal clear. I couldn't be bothered to react. I heard a door opening in the background, knowing Evan finished his shower, so I calmly said, "Put Evan on the phone." "Okay, Evan, it's Lisa." As soon as Evan got on the line, before he could say a word, I firmly said, "Evan, let's break up." Then I hung up, gathered my stuff, and left that gilded cage. Back at my old place, the rain had worn me out. I was about to pass out on the bed when Jean, my best friend, showed up bright and early after I told her what happened. "What, are you nuts? Heard you broke up with Evan." Wow, word travels fast. Was I so much of a pushover that Jean thought I must be out of my mind to leave Evan? Yeah, maybe I was. I felt weak and burning up. Sounded like a fever to me. Jean was taken aback, and after seeing I looked off, she quickly felt my forehead and yelped, "Lisa, you've got a fever. Lay down, let me get you some medicine." Seeing Jean fuss over me made me smile weakly. It felt nice to be cared for. After taking the meds, I flopped onto the couch. My phone kept lighting up with notifications. When I picked it up, it was still buzzing. It was a group chat with Evan's friends, and I kinda forced my way in there before. "Did you hear? Lisa broke up and stormed off." "Huh, it's not her first time. Prob's trying to push for marriage." Exactly, a small town girl snagging Evan was her lottery win. Let's bet on how long till she comes back. I skimmed through the replies. Someone said a day, others said an hour, and someone even joked, "I'll be around the corner." Evan whistles, she'll come running back. I grabbed my phone and typed, "I bet forever." Then I left the group and turned off the screen. The fever meds eventually knocked me out on the couch. When I woke, it was dark. Jean rushed over when she saw I was awake and felt my forehead, relieved. Finally, fever's down. I made porridge, it's warm on the stove. Wait a bit, I'll get you a bowl. The room used to feel empty, but with Jean there, it felt less lonely. Hugging my knees on the couch, I gave a weak smile. I was never one for drama or crying for attention like the saying goes. Last winter, I was on a work trip. Without a plane ticket, I had to take a long train ride just to make it to Evan's birthday. When I got to the restaurant, Lily was playfully smearing cake on Evan's face. Even with a face full of frosting, Evan flashed a warm smile. But I remember clear as day, I once tried doing the same, and Evan turned me down cold, eyes scolding, "Lisa, you know I'm a clean freak." His buddies just laughed and mocked me. "What are you thinking about? Drink your porridge." Jean handed me the bowl, pulling me from my memories. Halfway through, warmth spread through me. Jean got bored and started scrolling through her phone beside me. She stumbled on Lily's Twitter and couldn't help but curse, "Ugh, no shame." She shoved her phone in my face, "Look at Evan." Lily posted pics from a night out. In the pictures, Lily, in her, looked a bit drunk and flushed, with Evan's arm around her looking all couple-like. She captioned it, "The best relationships are when you're always by my side, spoiling me like a kid." I knew perfectly well they were together last night, maybe even did intimate stuff. But apart from a mild sting of envy, I didn't feel the gut-wrenching pain I expected. I even finished my bowl of porridge. Warmth fully settled in, and sweat beaded on my forehead. Jean got furious seeing Evan's pals commenting under Lily's post. "Damn, Lisa, that jerk Evan said you're just pulling this breakup stunt to try to get a ring and you'd crawl back in no time." I met Jean's gaze to calm her down, smiling, "Relax, I'm not that out of it." I got up and went into the bedroom, started packing the things I brought back plus what was originally in the apartment. I had to admit, Evan wasn't just a fixture in my memories, so many of my things were tied to him. In this 10-year-long one-sided journey, I've never wavered. High school love at first sight. I worked hard for 3 years and finally got into the same university as him. I thought I'd continue this unrequited love forever. But surprisingly, by junior year, I became his girlfriend. I was so cautious and tender as his girlfriend. Yet, my love was always met with his indifference. "Jean, I packed my stuff. Help me call for the courier, please. I'm sending all the things related to Evan back to him." Didn't Evan say I was forcing marriage on him? I'm sorry, he really overthought it. Monday, I wore a business suit with a slim skirt and heels. I put on light makeup and went to the office. After graduating, I didn't use Evan's connections. I found a job myself in the editing industry I love. The crowded morning elevator made me dizzy. Probably a fever's after effect. I stumbled entering the office, thinking I'd hit the ground hard. But then, someone caught me. "Careful." The voice was pleasant and familiar. I quickly got up. My heel slipped, making my ankle ache, causing me to gasp. "Twisted your ankle?" The man frowned. I looked at the familiar, serious face, and kept quiet. Luke, one of Evan's friends. Unlike Evan's other wild friends, Evan was wary of him. Funny enough, after I joined the company, Luke became a department manager here after buying in. His judgment was spot on. The company thrived after his arrival. "No, everything's fine." Thinking of Evan's friends makes me want to avoid any connection. I stood, almost falling again, but Luke steadied me. "Still thinking about Evan?" Implying I tripped because I was distracted. What the heck is this all about? Is he trying to mess with me on Evan's orders? I looked him in the eyes. "You're overthinking." Pretentious. Wasn't he in the group chat, maybe even betting on how soon I'd go back? Though, he never spoke in the chat. Even if he's the only decent one around Evan, I don't want anything to do with people connected to him. "Thanks for earlier." I was about to enter the office when Luke grabbed my wrist, gently helping me inside. I don't get his approach but remained silent and pulled away, lowering my voice. "Luke, I broke up with Evan." Meaning I'm not his friend's girlfriend anymore. No need for all this. Besides, people are watching. Luke's a catch, and I don't want gossip. I know, finally wise up. Luke chuckled, something I rarely saw. What does finally wise up mean? Is he not really Evan's friend? Just fooling me now? At 10 a.m., I entered the meeting room as Luke looked up at me. A big question mark popped up in my mind. Luke, the marketing department head, usually unrelated to editorial. Him being here was odd. Luke's too good-looking, drawing all female editors' attention. Chief editor Eli structured our week's work, and I noted everything down. "All right." Eli stepped aside for Luke. "We need to support the marketing team." Luke stood up, casually glancing my way. His gaze was so hot, I didn't dare look up fearing he'd use it against me. "Thank you, Eli." Luke smiled, making nearby women swoon audibly. "Lisa." He playfully called my name. Looking at him, his eyes shone brightly. "Tonight there's a dinner, join me," he continued. My mind went blank, thunderstruck. He must be doing this to get back at me for Evan. At the dinner, I sat nervously by Luke as drinks began circulating. I was wary of Luke's intentions. He seemed to set me up for drink-spiking revenge for Evan. Surprisingly, when someone tried to toast me, Luke shielded me. And when other men approached with drinks, Luke blocked them, forcing them to stop. By the end of the dinner, Luke secured the next quarter's ad fees, surpassing targets. Even I benefited with double bonuses next month. Puzzled even more, if this is a new trick, Luke truly surprises. The dinner ended, colleagues asked me to ensure Luke got home safely. So, I called a driver, intending to drop him off. Unexpectedly, Luke insisted on seeing me home first, sitting beside me in the car. He seemed a little tipsy. I was totally sober. Filled with curiosity, finally, when parked outside my place, I had to ask. Luke, if you're standing up for Evan, just do it. No need for sweet gestures first. Finished, I opened the door, 1 foot out, but Luke pulled me back. Here's this for you. He handed me a paper bag. I looked down a bottle of sports ointment. Confused, I looked back up. Don't wear high heels anymore, you're not that short. He said that, let go of my hand, and closed his eyes again. I clutched my bag tightly, confused, and got off the car. The next day, to avoid the rush hour in the elevator, I got to work early. On my desk sat a lonely new shoe box. The brand was worth a month's salary for me. I opened the box, and inside were a pair of flats, just my size. I didn't have to guess who sent them. Holding the shoes, I stormed into Luke's office, and he happened to be there. Got something to say? He looked up, calm as ever. I slammed the box onto his desk. Luke, no pain, no gain. I was really pissed off. Even if it's a prank, there's gotta be a limit. What's with this suspense? Luke's game was more complicated than Evan's. I turned to leave, but Luke was quicker. He grabbed my arm and held me against him. Lisa, I'm not that bored. I turned my face away, his lips brushed my cheek, so soft. My heart was racing. I couldn't look at Luke. I pushed him away and fled. Over the next month, I saw Luke more and more. He always found a way to bump into me at work. Even at the Monday meeting, our editorial team got used to his presence. I often found little gifts on my desk, and I knew they were from Luke. But I just put them in my drawer. Unlike last time, I didn't rashly confront him. Luke. What is he up to? This craziness was driving me nuts. That day, at work, my friend Jean messaged me again. Lisa, Evan's friends were asking when you'll go back. They've got a bet going, and they're about to lose. I almost laughed. Turns out it's been a month since I left Evan. Turns out it wasn't so hard to let go. Really? Tell them I've got this. After a bit, Jean sent a huge exclamation mark. You're making me proud. Evan's friends are stunned. They didn't think you'd hold out this long. Keep it up. I believe in you. I almost laughed. Why couldn't they believe I truly left Evan? I worked late, and by the time I looked up, it was dark outside and I heard the rain pouring down. I stood at the company entrance, waiting for the rain to stop. Seems like I should get used to bringing an umbrella and not fall for the same thing 3 times. The rain got heavier, and I shivered, rubbing my arms and trying to hail a cab for ages without luck. Just as I considered tipping more or calling Jean, I saw Luke with an umbrella coming my way through the rain. He walked gracefully, with a profound look. His polished shoes sliced through puddles, but to me, it seemed like he was stepping on my heart. Why is he here? I'll take you home. Luke held the umbrella over my head, even angling it so more rain fell on him than on me. But I was fed up. Fed up with him inching closer all month. If this was a game, enough is enough. I brushed his hand away. Luke, what do you want? Be straightforward if you're a man, stop playing cat and mouse. Luke laughed, his pleasant voice sounded above me. Lisa, wasn't it obvious I'm pursuing you? Now it was my turn to be utterly dumbfounded. Luke, did he lose his mind, thinking he's pursuing me? In a short time, my brain went into overdrive. Clearly, Luke wasn't in a hurry. Let me take you home first. He took off his jacket, wrapped it around me, raised the umbrella high over my head, and held my shoulder, ready to go. No need. I struggled, but clearly had no sway over Luke. Be good, he said, and held me tight, walking into the rain. I had no choice but to follow his steps. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw his face, his tense features. Since he gave most of the umbrella to me, half of him was drenched. Luke didn't just drop me at my building, he went right in with me. Inside, he nudged me toward the living room sofa, then headed to the kitchen. Sit here, I'll make some ginger tea. Do you have ginger? Any brown sugar? I was curious and peeped into the kitchen, watching him peel ginger, chop it, then boil water, all smoothly done. Once upon a time, it was me doing these things. The one who enjoyed it never knew to cherish. Come over, drink this ginger tea, warm up. Luke brought the porcelain bowl, carefully blowing on it. It was hard to believe someone so aloof and solitary could be so adept in the kitchen and patient. But his hair and half of his shoulder were wet. I shook my head, refusing without even thinking, no need, I didn't get that wet, and I'm pretty healthy. He was the one soaking wet. Plus, I didn't like ginger, it's spicy and fishy. Luke saw the refusal in my eyes, he chuckled, stirred the ginger tea, and brought it to my lips. Who was it last time that said, after a fever, the headache was killing you? Be good, drink this. I froze, recalling telling Bella from the team when I had a fever. I didn't expect him to know and remember. Luke's demeanor brooked no dissent. I swallowed the ginger tea, grimaced, and all, one sip at a time. One bowl down, my body felt warm, beads of sweat prickling out. Give me your hand. Luke suddenly grabbed my hand, placing a sugar cube into my palm. Medicine's bitter. Have some sugar, your mouth will feel better. He couldn't hide the fondness in his eyes. My hand felt hot. Such care, being someone's priority, was new to me. The rain grew louder, and my heart tangled into a knot. After a moment's thought, I decided to cut to the chase, voice out my concerns. Luke, why are you pursuing me? Luke's eyes darkened, lips pressed slightly. After a beat, he finally spoke softly, because I like you. His voice was deep, yet there was something seriously undeniable about it. I instinctively wanted to say no. I'd have to be nuts to get involved with my ex's friend, right? Before I could speak, Luke stood up. You don't have to give me an answer right away. Besides, I'm just in the trial period now. Trial period? Who said he could have a trial period? Seeing my hesitation, Luke ruffled my hair gently. I'm heading back now. Take a hot shower and get to bed early. See you tomorrow. With that, he left my place with the umbrella still dripping water. After my shower, I lay in bed, unable to sleep. I started scrolling through Twitter. I saw that Luke had just updated his status. Dropped her off at home. The picture was of that umbrella he used to walk me back. Suddenly, I felt this weird rush of emotions. I started to panic. As I was spiraling, Evan's buddies were already commenting under Luke's tweet. Who'd you drop off, man? Luke, good news, huh? Show us a pic of the lucky lady. Wow, congrats on getting out there. Finally found someone who got Luke wrapped around her finger. Then Evan chimed in, pretty sweet, when are you gonna introduce us? I muttered, like that's gonna happen. Yeah, I didn't rush to block Evan after the breakup. Knowing Evan, breaking up was no big deal for him, so I didn't feel the need to make a scene. Luke didn't respond to the other comments. He just replied to Evan, no way. I gotta say, that answer from Luke made me pretty happy. But the whole thing left me feeling anxious and irritated. I locked my phone and tossed it aside. When is this gonna end? The next day, as soon as I got into work, Evan's call came through. Seeing that familiar yet distant number, all I felt was confusion. I hung up quickly, but Evan called right back. He kept calling, and I kept ignoring him. After a while, to put an end to this nonsense, I decided to answer. Lisa, how long are you gonna keep this up? He snapped right after I picked up. Keep what up? I'd had enough. Forever. After a brief pause, Evan's tone softened for the first time. Lily's just a friend from childhood, and you know that, Lisa. You used to be understanding. Understanding? I must have had awful taste being strung along by Evan for a decade like that. I smirked. Evan, you're so full of yourself. Please, a late apology is worth nothing. We broke up. Don't make me block you. A decent ex should be non-existent. Before he could respond, I hung up. Knowing Evan, he'd probably be fuming. But it's not my problem. Lily lovingly dealt with him. Back at my desk, just as I was gonna sort through some files, Jean called. Jean rarely called unless it was urgent. As soon as I picked up, Jean was all, did you see? My dream guy, Luke, apparently got a girlfriend. Took her home in the rain yesterday. So sweet, I'm so jealous. I thought, Jean really likes Luke. Yeah, I guess she does. After finding out I was with Evan, Jean hated Evan's friends, except Luke. She always praised him, said he was a big deal in school. And to be honest, he is pretty cute. After Jean went on and on about Luke, I quietly said, Jean, it's me Luke's into. What? Jean's loud scream made my head spin. Lisa, how could you not tell me something like that? After she kept ranting, I managed to hang up, using work as an excuse, blocking Jean's curiosity. Exhausted, I turned around and saw Luke with a coffee, smiling at me. Shoot, how much did he hear? Luke grinned mischievously. Friends got your back, huh? Huh? He paused. I'll keep trying, don't worry. And I gotta admit, Luke was committed. He did keep trying. He's so considerate, at least towards me. Every morning, a hot breakfast waited on my desk. In the afternoon, a coffee he'd made just for me. No matter how late I worked, Luke would walk me home. Weekends, he'd come up with all sorts of ways to make plans, make me laugh. He was everywhere in my life, yet he never once asked me to be his girlfriend. It's like slowly boiling a frog in warm water. I was constantly uneasy. Sure enough, there it was, another morning, a steaming bowl of congee on my desk. Side dishes, eggs just how I liked. And a note underneath, day 28 of the trial. I folded the note and added it to the stack in my drawer, all 28 of them, a little pile now. Luke's intentions were a mystery. But I knew one thing, he was Evan's friend. Someone I should stay away from. Lisa, stop eating. We've got a last-minute interview. Car's waiting. The editor rushed over, tapping my desk. Okay, right away. I quickly packed up the breakfast, grabbed my bag, and headed out. Luke was waiting at the door, giving me a wave. Come on over. Confused, I asked, you're coming along for the interview? Yeah, he said, opening the car door. The interviewee's an old buddy, Oscar. Figured. He definitely planned this. With Luke's help, the interview I was super nervous about ended smoothly. Both sides were happy. Before leaving, Oscar shook my hand and said, Lisa, next time have Luke bring you to my studio to hang out. I nodded with a smile. Sure, definitely. Then Oscar playfully punched Luke's shoulder and said, you better win her over quickly. I'm looking forward to your wedding. Luke rubbed his shoulder and gave me a deep look before responding with a grin, all right, for sure. I blushed uncontrollably and quickly looked down. Once in the car, I looked down at the documents in my hand, thinking since it was still early, I could head back to the office and draft an article. When I looked up, I realized we were not heading back to the office. "Where are we going?" I gasped. Luke chuckled, "Taking you on a date." "Who said I agreed to a date? I helped end the interview early today. A date's not too much to ask, is it?" Luke responded with such logic that I had no chance to argue back. I never expected him to take me to my college, a university. The campus was quiet. We strolled on the track, looking at the place full of my youthful memories. It felt surreal, like time melted away. I couldn't help but smile and turn to talk to Luke, only to find him snapping a picture of me. I immediately reached out, took his phone, and saw a picture of a girl in a short-sleeved blazer and matching skirt, her waist tiny and skin pale. She looked somewhat ethereal. I had to admit, I was pretty impressed with his photo skills. "Luke, I'm keeping this photo." I turned, planning to forward it to myself before deleting it. I noticed Luke was standing so close that I could smell his pleasant scent surrounding me. I realized while looking at the photo, I had unconsciously leaned too close to him. My cheeks grew hot, and I hastily backed away, returning his phone as if it burned me. "Oh, right. Which school did you graduate from?" I asked out of curiosity. Gene made him sound like a genius. Luke didn't expect my question and casually replied, "I went to the same school as Evan." I was surprised, and then Luke continued, "Actually, the first time I saw you was on this very track." I was completely dumbfounded. Back then, I only had eyes for Evan, everyone else was a blur. I was playing basketball that day. It was cold, and it began to rain. You were wearing just a thin layer, holding a breakfast, clearly waiting for someone. Then my basketball accidentally hit you. You hugged your breakfast and started crying. I panicked, trying to take you inside, but you asked if I'd had breakfast and gave it to me instead. Luke smiled, softly continuing, "Later, I found out you were waiting for Evan. After that, when I wanted to genuinely pursue someone, well, she became my buddy's girlfriend." Yes, that day, I was waiting for Evan. He had a bad stomach and skipped breakfast, so I got into the habit of bringing it to him. The day before, he stayed up all night gaming. I called him countless times, but his phone was off. Left with no choice, I waited for him on his usual path. It wasn't until later that evening, when he woke up, that he replied, "I overslept." No apologies or anything. Now, I realized that maybe Luke had liked me for a long time. Luke chuckled, gently tousling my hair, and continued, "Your articles, I read every one. I attended some of your club events too, but you never noticed." I never imagined that during my blind love for Evan, there was someone else watching over me. In the sunlight, Luke's eyes were deep, his features striking, lips vibrant and gaze steady. A thought popped into my head, oh no. Just then, Luke leaned in closer. Out of reflex, I closed my eyes in nervousness, only to feel him gently hug me. "Thank you, Lisa." I was taken aback, listening to each sincere word. "Thank you for showing up. More importantly, thank you for seeing clearly, giving me a fair chance to pursue you." On the ride back, I tweeted a picture of a sunny corner of the campus. The caption read, "The sun's just right, the breeze gentle. Everything's just perfect." A few minutes later, Jean texted, only saying, "You two are so sweet." I checked Luke's Twitter. It was a picture of my back, captioned simply, "I'm waiting for you to turn around." It brought tears to my eyes. I realized that fate had opened this window for me, and it was named Luke. Luke had to head back to the office for work. Even in a rush, he made sure to drop me off. We waved goodbye, and in a good mood, I headed home. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, an unexpected force pulled me back, pinning me against the cold wall. It was Evan. He looked a bit worn out and his expression was filled with emotions I had never seen before. But I couldn't be bothered to figure them out. "Lisa, what's your deal with Luke?" "What?" I quickly calmed down. "Evan, why aren't you with your first love instead of bothering me?" Since when did he care so much about my business? My words clearly angered him. He took out his phone, pointing to Luke's Twitter, clearly indicating my silhouette, and said through clenched teeth, "Lisa, you think I can't recognize you? Why were you at the school with Luke? Is he after you? Are you two dating? You've gone too far this time. Playing games." I stared at his angry face. I didn't feel a thing, except a single thought: why does it matter to him? Evan, did you forget? We're over. Who I go to the campus with is none of your business. When I mentioned breaking up again, Evan's face turned a bit ugly. I took the chance to push him away and kept walking inside. "Lisa." Evan yelled my name, and it echoed down the empty hallway. "Are you with Luke just to get back at me?" I scoffed inside. Why would I ever use myself to get revenge on a jerk? Evan, don't think too highly of yourself. You're not worth it. After I said that, I didn't even look back and ignored the thumping sound of Evan angrily kicking the wall. The next day was the weekend. I slept well through the night, and when I woke up, I saw a message from Jean. She sent me a string of ha-ha-has and a big smiley face. "Lisa, heard Evan got wasted last night, and no matter what Lily did, she couldn't calm him down. In front of everyone, he shouted your name all night." Lily was so furious her face turned blue. Is this jerk regretting everything now? Humph, too late. Jean sent messages one after another, full of smug satisfaction. I felt incredibly calm because what Evan does has nothing to do with me. Day 45 into the probation period. Reading the notes Luke gives me every day feels like I'm a frog in a pot of boiling water. But surprisingly, I'm willing to be in his pot. The feeling isn't bad at all. Remember to bring an umbrella. I have a meeting tonight. In the morning, I got this text from Luke, and it warmed my heart. Okay. When work was over, it was indeed raining, and it was raining hard. Beside me, Bella, 7 months pregnant, clutched her belly and said, "I'm doomed." I didn't bring an umbrella. I brought one. You can use it. Without hesitation, I lent my umbrella to Bella. I waited for a while, but the rain became heavier, with lightning and thunder outside. It's like rainy days always have an issue with me. While I was considering taking a cab, a man holding an umbrella walked against the light toward me, making me instantly happy. Luke. When I realized it was Evan who came, it was too late to take back the smile on my face. Clearly, Evan saw it and heard me call out for Luke. He took a step forward and held the umbrella over my head. "Lisa, you didn't bring an umbrella. Let me take you home." He paused and then added, "From now on, I'll be here every rainy day to pick you up after work." Before, I didn't know how to balance things between you and Lily. To me, she's just a little sister, but you're the most important person. I made things clear with her. I really can't be without you. I'm used to having you by my side. I saw the glint of tears in Evan's eyes, and I believed he meant it. But I didn't need it anymore. Seeing his somewhat emotional state, I took a step back. "No need, I'll take a cab later." When I tried to leave, Evan blocked my path right away. "Calm down, Evan." My face turned cold as ice. "You can't possibly not love me," Evan raised his voice. Then he tossed the umbrella aside and tried to pull me into his arms. "Get off me." I was about to slap some sense into Evan when suddenly Luke rushed over from not far away. He punched Evan in the face and pulled me into his arms. Evan stumbled back a few steps and barely managed to steady himself. He wiped the blood from his lip and said, "Luke, Lisa is mine." Luke sneered, "You've already lost her." Then he punched Evan in the face again. Evan, his face ashen, had to hold on to the railing to steady himself. Given that this was where Luke and I worked, and since Luke was a shareholder, it wouldn't look good if things got out of hand, so I quickly went up and grabbed Luke's hand. "Okay, let's go home. I want to drink the ginger tea you make." Luke laughed and, taking a step closer, put his arm around my shoulders. "Sure." Neither of us glanced at Evan. Once home, I rushed to the bathroom and grabbed a brand new towel, rubbing it over Luke's head. Luke, now calm like a golden retriever, was a stark contrast to the fierce man just moments ago. Didn't you have plans? How come you picked me up? Luke pulled the towel off his head and placed it on mine, gently drying my hair. The rain was too heavy, and I was worried about you. I called you several times, but you didn't answer, so I left early to find you. So, as a shareholder, he left work early. He really is not concerned about his career. Then again, I nearly forgot. Luke was doing well at his previous job before joining this company after I started. Looking back now, he probably came here for me. Warmth filled my heart as I looked up into his eyes, dark and bright, with my reflection in them. How nice. Outside, the rain poured even harder as Luke whipped up ginger tea for me in the kitchen. This time, the ginger tea, instead of tasting spicy and fishy, seemed sweet and fragrant. Being cherished like this is so wonderful, like soaking in honey every day. Without any urging from Luke, I obediently drank a whole bowl of ginger tea. Just after I finished, Luke popped a candy into my mouth. Is it sweet? I nodded earnestly, smiling even sweeter. The rain was so heavy that as Luke was about to brave it back, I hesitated for a long time before nervously and blushingly suggesting, "The rain's too heavy. You shouldn't leave tonight." Luke was momentarily taken aback and his face flushed red. After a long pause, he looked at me and nodded firmly. "Okay. Lisa." His voice was a bit husky. "What?" My throat felt dry too. "Was the ginger tea good?" he asked abruptly. Yes, it was good. I was startled for a second but nodded truthfully. "Let me taste." With that, Luke kissed me, taking my breath away like a hypnotist capturing my soul. He's not just drinking ginger tea, this guy is trying to devour me. The next day, when I finished washing up and walked out, I found my favorite breakfast already laid out on the table in the living room. Luke was sitting there, grinning in a way that made me want to punch him. "Come have breakfast," he waved. I walked over and noticed a note tucked under the porridge bowl. I pulled it out and read it. "Lisa, am I past the probation period?" I looked up, meeting Luke's eager gaze, and nodded. His smile grew even wider, and he handed me another note. "Here." I took it, opened it up, and saw it said, "Day 1 of permanent status." I couldn't help but laugh, and Luke leaned in to kiss me. "Good morning, girlfriend." "Good morning, boyfriend," I replied, laughing as I kissed him back. Later that evening, I was sitting on the couch watching TV when my phone kept pinging with notifications of money transfers. Puzzled, I picked up my phone and saw Evan's old group of rowdy friends were sending me money. I was taken aback and quickly scrolled through Luke's Twitter. "Pay up," Luke had tweeted to the group that once bet on me. "You owe my wife money, don't make me come get it." I skimmed the comments section and saw Lily's sarcastic reply, wishing Luke and his wife a long, happy marriage. Luke simply responded, "Don't call me bro, I don't need a little first love." I chuckled. So this is what security feels like.